Well, I would say that's a great place to start. Happy Wednesday, family of Northern California, Hawaii region, as well as Maryland, DC region. Welcome to Take Command of Your Business. We do these classes twice a month on the first Wednesday and the third Monday of every single month, where myself, Zach Younger, the Regional Technology Director for Northern California, Hawaii region, and my incredible colleague, John Morris, who is also the Regional Technology Director and the Growth Director for the Maryland, DC region. And each month, twice a month, we just dive into highly relevant topics around how you can leverage command to take control or take command of your business to be more productive and more profitable. John, you ready for today's topic?
Yeah, I'm ready. It looks like you're double ready because I see two Zach Youngers in the room. I don't know if somebody's trying to steal your identity, but I see it in there twice.
It's incredible. I don't know who the other person is. They somehow got my link and they're just watching and having fun, which is just so good. I am double ready.
There you go.
Today's topic, as I mentioned before we got started, is all about smart plans. Here's what we know. One thing that Command does incredibly well is can actually automate your follow-up, automate your lead generation, automate ultimately the tasks and the communication and the text messages and the emails that we need to be doing on a regular basis. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent tells us that our database is our business, and that our job, according to page 134 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is to develop mind share with everyone in our world. And so Smart Plans is all about that. It's about developing mind share, being that resource and being available and coming from contribution with everyone in our database. So we're going to dive into some best practices around smart plans, the best smart plans that John and I really love. We've got some similar ones and we have some separate ones that we both really like. We're going to walk you through it. You'll be able to follow along and actually download the proper smart plans into your SmartPlans library. And we'll be able to make sure that you're rocking and rolling and doing and have access to everything that you need. John, I'm going to go ahead and make you a co-host. And is there anything I missed about smart plans that you want to talk about?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there, man.
Fantastic. Okay, you are now co-host. I'm going to go ahead and mute all. John, you're going to have to unmute yourself after I do. And if you want to raise your hand or unmute yourself to ask any questions in today's class, Take Command of Your Business, don't hesitate to unmute yourself. You can do that by pressing your space bar on your keyboard, kind of like a walkie-talkie. As you hold it down, it'll unmute you. You can speak and ask any questions that you have around smart plans or automation in your business. Of course, you can raise your digital hand by clicking on the reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and then say raise hand, and that'll bring you right to the forefront and we'll know that you have some questions. This is highly participatory. We slate this for 1 hour and we have about 30 minutes worth of topics. And so the content here today is going to be about 30 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time for general Q&A at the end and get you guys out there to go take more listings and take more territory in your business. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. John, can you give me thumbs up? Do you see my smart plans?
Yeah, I'll actually give you a thumbs up with the reaction there, right?
Good. Okay.
Now, really quick though, Zach, before you get started, we normally start out by asking everybody where they're from, so that way we know who's who, and maybe you get a chance at doing getting some referral business. So everybody, if you could, in the chat box, just put your name, market center you're from, and then hopefully, or maybe one of these times you'll come to one of these Welcome Wednesday classes and you'll be able to get a referral by doing so too. So it could pay to come to the classes. All right, with that, Zach, why don't you, as people are doing that, why don't you kind of set up what you want to talk about here with the smart plans?
Absolutely. First thing I always like to do is show you exactly how we got there. Now, of course, with Command, you should always be using Google Chrome. Google Chrome is the web browser that works best for all online platforms, including Command. When you go to agent.kw.com, I just typed it into the chat box there, agent.kw.com, and log in with your username and password, you'll be in Command on the dashboard or the home page. Where we're going here today is SmartPlans. It's the fourth applet down, or the fourth icon, the little list with the gear. When you click into SmartPlans, your screen might look a little differently than my screen, because what you're seeing on my screen right now is my SmartPlans. I have 21 of them in my library. Now, that doesn't mean that you should have 21 SmartPlans in your library. To be perfectly frank, that's actually quite a bit. That's probably more than you're going to need in your business. However, if you click on SmartPlans and you see no SmartPlans or one SmartPlan, I would encourage you to lean in and encourage you to grab a new smart plan. Maybe take one of the best practices that John and I share with you here today. Just a reminder as well, we are here to answer questions and support you through this process. And every single one of your market centers also has what we call a Market Center Tech Trainer, or MCTT. I see I see two incredible Market Center Tech Trainers on the call right now, Jessica Thornsberry and Carrie Scoville out of Yuba City and Oahu, the Honolulu Market Center. So just know that your Market Center Tech Trainers are a tremendous resource for all things smart plans and all things command. So the first thing to know is when you click on smart plans, you're going to see your smart plans. Now, John, if someone's on a team and they're in their team account of command, this changes from my smart plans to team smart plans. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So don't worry if you're on a team and you're in your team account and you toggle back and forth by clicking your drop down. When you're in your personal account, it'll say My Smart Plans. When you're in a team account, it'll say Team Smart Plans. That'll be a really good indicator as to whether or not you're looking at your personal smart plans or your team smart plans. That said, okay, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say too, is that if you are in smart plans right now and you can't add a smart plan to your library because maybe you're on a team, you also need to keep in mind that based on what permission level your Rainmaker has given you will basically determine whether or not you're going to be able to add a smart plan. Because when you're in the team account, if you have basically the basic permission levels or the standard permission levels, and you don't have unlimited or enhanced, then you won't have the ability to add a smart plan. So just wanted to kind of throw that disclaimer out there. If you're trying to add something, as Zach and I are describing this, and you can't, very well might be that you're in the team account and then you don't have the permission levels to be able to do that.
Yep. And if you reach out to your Rainmaker or your lead admin for the team, they can change your permission levels or add a smart plan to the library that you need access to or would like to have access to. That can be done there. Now, before we start giving you some best practices on smart plans, it's important to note up at the very top right of my screen, and I know my video might be in the way, there's a big green Create button. This is how you can create a smart plan from scratch. You can curate your own smart plans. Let's say that you've got another system that you used historically, maybe Top Producer, for instance, and you were using an action plan inside Top Producer that you absolutely loved. You curated it over time. You liked the way the messaging happened and the delays between the communication or the emails back and forth. You can always create a smart plan right from scratch. However, the vast majority of you, the 30 of you on this call, probably shouldn't be building smart plans from scratch. It's probably not the best use of your time because there are hundreds and hundreds of smart plans that are already preloaded into the Smart Plan Library that you see at the very top of the Smart Plans screen. So when I go to Smart Plans, the first thing I always recommend is to go into the library of smart plans. Here we have 10 smart plans that Keller Williams International have created to literally follow the models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And I'm going to give you my favorites, and John will be able to add in a couple extras there. But before I do that, it's important to note just below the Keller Williams library of smart plans are the top rated smart plans by other trainers and agents across the country, where they've built out a smart plan that you can actually turn around and download. Some of these are written in other languages. Some of these are designed to be very hyper local and specific to a certain type of market. And you can go through and sort or scroll through all of the different smart plans that might make sense for you. Notice each of these smart plans have what's called a smart plan card. You'll see the author of the smart plan. You'll see how many agents are using the smart plan. And then you'll also, of course, see the rating of that smart plan. Because if you see a smart plan that's been in there for 6 months and only 2 agents are using it and it gets 1 out of 5 stars, it might not make sense to download that smart plan for your business. However, this is one way just to browse through smart plans and take ideas or download those plans. You can always edit them after you've downloaded a smart plan by hitting add smart plan. Also on the smart plan card, there's this link, it's in green, that says view steps. This is where you'll actually see the steps inside of the smart plan. For instance, the quarterly call plan only has 3 steps. One is a reminder to call the person that's on the smart plan, and then a 90-day delay, and then it just repeats and it'll remind you to call people every 90 days, thus the quarterly call smart plan. My favorite smart plan to start off with for everyone on the call, if you don't have the biweekly neighborhood nurture smart plan in your library, I would highly encourage you to add that today. The biweekly neighborhood nurture was designed to follow the models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. John, how many emails are in the biweekly neighborhood nurture smart plan per year?
Well, it's every 2 weeks, and then there's 52 weeks in a year. So Zach, if my
26,
it's 26, right?
Yeah, how about that? And for those of you, pop quiz, how many emails does the Millionaire Real Estate Agent recommend to send to your database? It's 26.
Wow, I wonder if that was done on purpose, Zach.
How about that? Yeah, according to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2, or the revised edition of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, all the studies that Keller Williams did and Gary Keller did, they found that agents who sent 26 emails a year to their sphere of influence with up-to-date market statistics around the local market, they had the best conversion rates for the people in your database, 26 emails a year. Thus, the biweekly neighborhood nurture is designed literally to follow the best practices of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So if you don't have the biweekly neighborhood nurture in your smart plan library, which means you can't actually put someone on that smart plan, you should click add to smart plan. And now you can rename that smart plan. That's just for your own knowledge. You might actually change this from the biweekly neighborhood nurture to put everyone on this smart plan. That might be the name of the smart plan. Literally, you can just come in and say, use this for everyone. That's for your eyes only. Whatever you want to call it, and then you're going to download it. Now, if it doesn't let you download it, that means you've already downloaded that smart plan. That's a good thing. You don't need to re-download that. And if you want to, you can go rename that smart plan if you need to. That biweekly neighborhood nurture. Now, I recommend that you put everyone in your sphere of influence on that smart plan. In order to do that, there's a couple of things you need. John, what's the first thing that's needed in order for a contact to be added to the biweekly neighborhood nurture?
Well, you need to have the contact actually in your database. That's the first thing, right? Yes. And then after that, you need to make sure that the contact has the address listed inside of their contact card. And then but how you do that is you just enter their, and when you're editing the contact information, you put their address in there, and then Command will do its magical thing, and it will basically sync up the address location to the appropriate neighborhood that that person lives in. And then you'll have at least one neighborhood that your contact will be able to get this biweekly neighborhood nurture on. That doesn't mean that that's the only neighborhood you should add them to. Because you can add things like, if I have an investment property, maybe I want to know what's going on in the neighborhoods where my investment property is at. If I'm looking at buying a vacation home, I might be interested in that neighborhood. Maybe I'm thinking about selling my parents' home in the next couple of years because they want to downsize. I can keep track of my parents' neighborhood. So the point of the matter is, you can set them up for as many different neighborhoods as you would like to. And then that way it really quickly and easily lets them know what the values are in the neighborhoods that are most important to them. And Zach, what I really like about this is that ultimately, let's say I want to know what's going on in Cabrillo Park because that's where I grew up. So maybe I want to know what's going on in that neighborhood. Maybe I have a investment property in the Chesapeake neighborhood here in Ripon where I live. And so I'm interested in that neighborhood. And then I live in Ripon West. So I'm interested in that neighborhood. And then I want to buy a beach house in South Carolina down on the water so I can surf every day when I retire. So I'm interested in the Folly Beach neighborhood too, right? Point of the matter is I could be the only person on the entire planet that has an interest in those 4 specific neighborhoods. And this system basically creates a unique user website specifically for me as an individual that highlights those things. And so that really creates that one-to-one marketing experience that becomes really, really sticky. Because a lot of times people will say, hey, John, emailing somebody 26 times a year seems like a lot. And I always let them know that, hey, if you're going to be emailing them recipes and gardening tips 26 times a year, yeah, that might be a lot, especially if they don't garden and they don't cook, right? However, everybody's going to be interested in their portfolio where they have investments or where they want to have investments. And that's going to create that unique experience for them that they're going to open every time.
I love that. So yes, you absolutely, the contact needs to be in your contacts, which is why we always say to get started in command, first thing is get your contacts into command. That's one. The second part is you need to have at least one neighborhood associated with their contact record. Right on the contact record, just below the primary contact information is where you get to assign them more neighborhoods, like what John said. Now, if you put their address in, as John had mentioned, our AI or artificial intelligence will actually cross-reference that address and automatically assign them to a neighborhood if that address fits into a neighborhood. And then you add that in. The last thing that you need in order to put a contact onto a biweekly neighborhood nurture, their email address, because this smart plan leverages emails by sending out an email around what's going on in those neighborhoods. Average price point, average days on market, number of homes that are for sale in that particular neighborhood. That way they can stay super relevant. John gave several great examples of neighborhoods. I like to break it down this way. If I'm going to put my contact on the biweekly neighborhood nurture because the Millionaire Real Estate Agent tells us that's what we should do, I want to give them up-to-date information on, I think, a minimum of 4 neighborhoods. The neighborhood they live in, John already mentioned that. The neighborhood they would move to next, John also mentioned that. The neighborhood of their dreams, John also mentioned that. And then the neighborhood that they grew up in. The idea here is if you play to their reality, you play to their future, you play to their dreams, and you play to their nostalgia, you win as a realtor. Now, what that means is every 2 weeks, an email will go out to your database if you put them in a biweekly neighborhood nurture, and it's going to give them up-to-date information with their neighbor's house that just hit the market, or the homes that have come up for sale in the next neighborhood they'd move to. And by the way, the neighborhood of their dreams, there's a good chance they never buy there. The way I talk about that with my sphere of influence is, hey, if you were to wake up $10 million richer tomorrow, where would you buy a house? Is it Beverly Hills? Is it Waikiki Beach? Is it Durango, Colorado? Where would you buy your dream home? Now, the idea is if I, the realtor, can now send them up-to-date information with what's going on in the market on Waikiki Beach, on Oahu, the chances of them buying those houses is very small, but the chances of them clicking on them is significant. That's how you develop mind share with your sphere of influence, by giving them that relevant information. I also said the neighborhood they grew up in. John kind of mentioned that based on maybe where their parents currently live. You're playing to their nostalgia. When my sphere of influence gets an email from me and their old childhood home comes up for sale and they get that from me, the likeliness of them buying one of those houses is pretty much 0, but the likeliness of them clicking on it is almost 100%. The idea is you become more sticky when you're sending them relevant information, and the biweekly neighborhood nurture does it all for you. You just have to put them in the smart plan. And in order to do that, you need their email address, and then you need them in at least one neighborhood. Did I miss anything else there, John?
Nope, I think you got it perfect, man.
Love it. Okay, good. That's the very first one. The next smart plan that I'd highly encourage all of you to do, only because the Millionaire Real Estate Agent also tells us, is the quarterly call plan. According to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, if you call your entire database at least once a quarter, every 90 days, you're more likely to convert more transactions or help more buyers and sellers buy and sell real estate. So that quarterly call plan, if you haven't added that smart plan into your library, download the quarterly call plan and then assign your contacts to that. In order to put them on that plan, you need to have their birthday, or excuse me, birthday, you need to have their phone number. That's it. The contact record needs to be there and you need to have their phone number. In fact, the system will actually let you put them on the quarterly call plan even without their number. So all you really need is their name in order to do that. The system will then remind you every 90 days to call anyone you have on that smart plan. The idea is if you can use a smart plan like the quarterly call plan to help you stay on top of who you should call instead of who you want to call, that helps you eliminate that call bias and you ultimately talk to the right people at the right times when you use that quarterly call plan. My next favorite is the birthday smart plan. I fubbed a little bit there and I said that you need their date of birth. The birthday smart plan, I love it. As long as you know their date of birth inside Command, you can put them onto the birthday smart plan. This is going to remind you 5 days before their birthday to send them a birthday card. That's awesome. It's also going to remind you the day before their birthday to call them within the next day. It'll also even send them a text message on their birthday saying happy birthday if you use the Twilio integration for text messaging. And it's going to remind you on the day of their birthday to go to their Facebook and wish them a happy birthday there.
Because everybody knows that you don't wish somebody happy birthday unless you say it on Facebook, right?
Exactly.
Now, Zach,
ahead,
really
John.
quick, it was really quick too. The common thing I hear from people is that, hey, I don't want that automated text message to go out that says happy birthday because that's going to sound canned and it's not going to sound like it comes from me. And my clients are going to know that it's just some robot wishing them happy birthday. And that's not what I want. And what I always tell them is that one of the cool things inside of SmartPlans is the ability to use merge tags. And what those merge tags do is it can populate the person's name who's you're sending it to. So I could have 4,000 people in my database, put them all on the same birthday smart plan, and then the text message when it fires out is going to address the person by name. It won't just be some blanket happy birthday, right? And so rather than it just saying happy birthday randomly coming from me, I could set it up so that when it goes out to, say, for example, you, Zach, the message could say something to the effect of, hi, Zach, just wanted to wish you a really happy birthday. I know it's your special day and I'm thinking about you, your favorite realtor, John. That doesn't sound canned, right? And so that's one of the cool things about the system here is that you can set that up.
So good. So to recap, there's 3 smart plans that I always highly recommend: the biweekly neighborhood nurture, the quarterly call plan, and the birthday plan. If you add all of those touches together, 26 emails, 4 phone calls, that's 30, and then 4 more touches from the birthday plan, that's 34. That's 34 touches a year. John, how many touches does the Millionaire Real Estate Agent recommend that realtors do each year?
36. So now we can, with those 2 that were short, we can either maybe we do client events, and those could be the 2 touches that we need. If you're just getting started out as an agent and you can't afford to do client events, you can do maybe mail out a gift to them, or once we get out of the COVID kind of environment, maybe do a pop by or, take them to coffee. Another really easy one to do if it's past clients and you've sold them a home is to put them on the home anniversary plan, because the home anniversary plan actually gives you 2 more touches as well there too. So there's a lot of creativity that you could do for somebody to get them those extra 2 touches so that it gets you up to 36.
The idea here is by leveraging smart plans inside of Command, you can automate 34 of your 36 touches that you should be doing each year. Now, doing 2 touches a year is a much less daunting task with that. That home anniversary, I absolutely love that one too. As long as you have their purchase anniversary inside their contact record, you can add that there. The last plan before we dive into some of the other really curated ones, and we'll answer some of the questions that came through on chat. I promise we're not ignoring that. The last one I always recommend is the monthly neighborhood nurture. And people often say, Zach, why in the world would I do the biweekly neighborhood nurture and the monthly neighborhood nurture? One, the system is smart enough not to send both. So if you accidentally put them on both plans, it's just going to do the biweekly neighborhood nurture. The reason I recommend the monthly neighborhood nurture by adding that into your plan is It's inevitable. Someone in your database is going to say, hey, Zach, I would love to get up-to-date information on my neighborhood, the next neighborhood I'd moved to, the neighborhood of my dreams, and the neighborhood I grew up in, but I don't want it every 2 weeks. Can you just do it monthly? Don't fight them on that. Just put them into the monthly neighborhood nurture instead. And you're just going to have to enhance that by adding another, 14 more touches in some other type of email campaigns or text messages, or personalized touches and things like that.
Yep. Good advice for sure.
Question came through. For training purposes, do our local leadership teams have access to the names of agents who are not using SmartPlans in command? Yes, we do have the ability. Your local leaders do have the ability to go into our reports and see which agents have active SmartPlans turned on. We don't get to see who you've got on your SmartPlans. We don't get to see the name of the contacts in your database, but your leaders can see whether or not you have an active smart plan or not. And it's really great for training purposes to make sure, let's just say that you had a smart plan turned on and then it stopped. Well, your local productivity coach might notice that, reach out and say, hey, you don't have any active smart plans. That's a great conversation. It's a really great opportunity for us to get that turned back on with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, a question came through about holiday plans, which leads us, it segues us into our next spot. For instance, we just passed Easter. And so you could very easily, if you wanted to search for smart plans, here's a 2021 Easter email smart plan that was created by Jennifer Pauls. This was just a very simple HTML email that went out wishing everybody a happy Easter. Here's another one that's done by Don Giroux, another very simple one with just an HTML email. You'll be able to go in and search for any holiday you want and be able to take and download those smart plans that were created by other people. And then you can curate that message just a little bit after you add it to your smart plan library.
Yeah, Zach, I want to also point out there too, is that it's really important that if you, not that so much the Keller Williams ones. So if you choose any of the Keller Williams ones, those are completely unbranded and they've been checked for spelling, right? In terms of the agent ones that are created, like Zach's mentioning down there, when you're searching those things out, those are not Keller Williams created. So they might actually be branded to the person who created it. And we can't verify that they don't have any typos or misspellings or things like that. So it's really, really important that if you choose to add one that is not done by Keller Williams, you go through and you edit it and look for basically any areas where you need to put your branding or your information in. Because I don't want to send a smart plan out that has Zach's information on it when it's supposed to be coming from me, right? And then I also want to make sure that I'm going through and just checking for grammar, spelling, things like that, because let's face it, some people are really, really great at that stuff. Some people not so much. So there could be very well be some smart plans out there that might have some misspellings, might have some typos, things like that. So you want to make sure that you check that stuff before you actually launch or put people on those.
Here's a perfect example of that. I just pulled up a random top rated smart plan, and the very first email, it's a great email as far as I'm concerned, lots of great content. Notice at the very bottom of this email, there's a little signature line there that says your realtor and then leaves agent name there. You're going to want to make sure to go in, and if that's not a mail merge variable, you're going to want to put your name there. And in California, you should probably put your DRE license number there and your title there for any first point of contact, even though this person's in your database and theoretically that's not required. It's just good to have that type of information for consistency and branding purposes with that. You'll also see there like agent cell and agent name in there. Another great example, again, Northern California, Hawaii agents, you might find a smart plan that's designed to talk about winter tips. And it might talk about clearing the snow off of the rooftops. Completely irrelevant for 80% of the people in your database. And while the vast majority of that smart plan might have really great content that was built and curated by that particular agent in Western Michigan, and yet it just, you'll want to just take that little part out to make sure that that's relevant for you with that.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you'd want is to have a smart plan that talked about, winter home tips, and then gives information on winterizing your home when that just does not really happen in Northern California for the most part.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I've got just a couple more smart plans we want to share, and then we're going to open it up for general Q&A. One of my favorite smart plans out of the top rated smart plans is one for following up with Facebook leads. Gentleman named Marty Miller, you might have heard his name, the Marty Miller 66-day challenge with the command training. He created a Facebook lead follow-up shared plan. Now you could find this by just searching the author Marty Miller or just Marty, and you're going to find this one here. And then I can go through these steps. The very first touch when a Facebook lead comes in, this text message will go out if you have Twilio turned on, and it'll put in the client's name in there. Let's say Bob comes in from a Facebook lead. Hey, Bob, thanks for clicking on the home I recently posted on Facebook. This is Zach with Keller Williams. Did you have any questions? In case you're like me and occasionally forget what you actually clicked on, let me know and I'll send you the direct link to the home that you clicked on to check it out again. I love this message because it's curated to elicit a response. Because oftentimes these online leads, they just click on a property and they completely forget. And then you shoot them a text saying, hey, just wanted to let you know I'm here for you. Do you have any questions about the property? And oftentimes they're like, never talk to me again. I don't even know what you're talking about. But when you remind them that they came from Facebook and that they might not even remember the property, then they can be like, oh yeah, I do remember clicking on that last night after a bottle of wine. Can you send me that link? Now, of course, you've got the name of the campaign right in the timeline of the contact record. You can now go pull up that and then shoot them a text. Now you have two-way conversations going back and forth. This is a perfect example though, because the third text message here, oh, nope, it's not the third one. I think it's the fourth touch, the third text message here. Hey, Bob, I hope hope I'm not being a pest. I want to make sure that you're being taken care of. Several additional homes have been recently listed in the neighborhood. What is your preferred price range so that I do not spam you with homes you don't like? This is one thing that I might catch because you don't know that additional listings have come up in the neighborhood they were looking at. So you might consider saying there are homes moving on the market really quickly. I'd love to get you on a saved search to make sure you're up to date with everything that's going on. Just a perfect example of that. Now, John, I know you've got another smart plan that you love using for Facebook leads. Which plan is that?
It's the one that the Northern California Hawaii team leader Jason Flynn did, and so it's called like Tyler Shields no call Facebook follow up. So Jason had taken this from Tyler out of Colorado, and Tyler is a really just a great guy in terms of doing Facebook marketing. And so Jason basically just took something that Tyler had done and replicated it there. And the thing I like about it, at least personally for me, is that when I'm doing stuff, since I'm not completely in production right now because of my regional role, I still like to run ads to generate referral leads. But I don't personally have the time like agents should get on the phone and try to call those people. And so this plan basically has no calling attached to it. It just automates or fires out a ton of text messages and emails within the first week to really try to get that person to engage. And so I like to utilize this one because it just really completely automates that follow-up process. And then the only thing that I added to that is at the end of this one, when I customized it, I added a step to have them launch on the biweekly neighborhood nurture. So once this plan ends, at least the way I use it, then when the plan ends, it will go into a biweekly neighborhood nurture, and it'll basically send them something every 2 weeks forever until they either die, I die, or they file a restraining order against me.
Which is a perfect opportunity for us to mention the TCPA Act, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Anytime you're using any type of automated system to follow up with contacts, whether that's an auto dialer or a bulk texting system, you need to have permission to contact that person. And if you don't, you need to make sure they're not on the do not call list. if you use a dialer or a blast text messaging system to contact somebody that you don't have permission to contact that is on the do not call registry, your business can face catastrophic damages. They can sue you. They can go after you and your market center and anybody else they feel like going after, and they will win. That said, do not use an auto dialer or a bulk texting system to contact anyone you don't have permission to contact. Here's the good news. We're talking about Facebook lead follow-up with SmartPlans. If you ran the ad inside of Command and you generated a lead through that Facebook, one of the steps when they submit their contact information, they actually have to confirm that they're okay with you contacting them. So if they come back and say, hey, I didn't give this person permission to shoot me a text message through an auto text messaging system, you can say, well, in fact, you did by filling out the form and submitting it to me, which is how I got your contact information. You were requesting me to follow up with you. Would you like me to remove you? At that point, of course, now you got to remove them. But of course, they could have just said stop, and that would unsubscribe them as well, because we need to put those permissions in place there. This is another example here of double checking when you're downloading a smart plan. This one that's created by Jason Flynn, you'll see the very first email, which is the second touch, has his name and phone number and DRE license number in there. So you're going to want to edit that. And I'll show you really quickly how to do that before we open it up for general Q&A. I'm going to add this smart plan, and I'm going to call it one, my Tyler Shields Facebook leads, no calls. That's going to now add that to my SmartPlans library. I'm still in the library, but now if I go back to my SmartPlans, right at the top, you're going to see there's that new one that I just created. To edit it, super simple. You just hit the edit button. And when you hit the edit button, it's going to bring you into the Smart Plan editor. Super simple here. There you're going to see that it's got a placeholder for the contact's first name and your name. That's okay. But that second email, as we scroll down, I don't want Jason Flynn's website in an email that's going to come out from me. So I'll want to make sure to change that to Z.
Zach, I'm sure that Jason wouldn't mind if you left that in there.
One bit.
But that might not help you out so much.
Absolutely. So I'm going to want to go through and make any changes that I want to here. With any phone numbers, of course, I'll want to change my DRE license number to be reflective of my actual license number. And then John said something that was, I think, really powerful, and I want to talk you through that. John said that he sets an extra touch at the end of this smart plan. So over on the right-hand side are the action steps in the smart plan. What he does is he actually adds this extra action at the end, so that when it gets to the end of the smart plan, the system will then automatically add the contact to another smart plan. So I'm going to hit add to smart plan. There you're going to see it's now step number 15 in this smart plan. I'm going to say, I want to go ahead and add them to my bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. Oh. There we go.
And Zach, I think that's I was just going to say, I think that's a really important step, because one of the things that we know that real estate agents do really well is that they follow up with new leads that first week, pretty heavy, pretty hard, to try to get a hold of them and to get into business with that particular lead. What we do know, though, is that the average time that it takes for a consumer to transact on real estate it is about 6 to 18 months. They start their search online before they're actually ready to do something. And one thing that real estate agents don't do very well is good long-term follow-up. So what I like about this plan is that it helps me identify who might be ready to go right away. But then, like most real estate agents that are out there, right, the plan ends after the first week, and then I forget about that person. Right. And what a lot of agents don't do really well is that long-term follow-up. And when you're talking about online leads, especially, you're looking at 6 to 18 months before most of those people are going to be ready to do anything. And that just allows me to stay in front of that person every 2 weeks until they're ready to go. And at that point, 6 to 18 months later, I'm the only real estate agent that's still communicating with them consistently because everybody else is kind of tuned out because they weren't ready to go right away.
Or they didn't have smart plans in command to
Right.
stay on touch.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Zach, the number one thing is, you, similar to you, I talk to a lot of agents in our role, and I don't care if you sell one house a year or you sell 300 houses a year. The number one thing that I see that is a problem for our agents is just that consistent long-term follow-up, because a lot of people just don't do it because, hey, I'm going to work the hot lead because I want to close that deal now, and I don't pay attention to the other stuff. And what ends up happening, I don't know about you, Zach, but when you were in production, let me ask you, did this ever happen to you? You get some leads, you call them all up 15 times a day, every day, trying to get one to respond to you. You get a couple people to respond to you, you forget about the other ones, and then your business gets slow. And then you pick up the phone and you call some of those old leads again 6, 7, 8, 9 months later, and they say, oh, John, thanks for calling or whatever like that. But, we just closed on a house last week. And that's my fault. That's not that's not the consumer's fault, because I just didn't do a good job of long-term follow-up. And so if you're new, this is going to, that long-term follow-up is going to help you build your pipeline better. And if you're an established agent, that long-term follow-up is going to do one of a couple things. It's going to either allow you to have a better conversion rate, which is going to make you more money, or because you have that better conversion rate, maybe you don't need to spend as much on leads because now you're closing more leads. Or, right, you could spend the same amount of money, convert more, and make more money, right? So this is a really, really, I think, key step that I don't care who you are, this can benefit your business a lot.
To answer your question, John, no, that never happened to me. I never missed out on a single lead because of the lack of follow-up. Or I'm lying. Yes, of course, because I didn't have smart plans to make sure that this was happening without me even knowing. So to recap, there are several smart plans. By several, I mean hundreds that you have in your arsenal inside the library of smart plans. We strongly encourage you to grab a couple. We recommend the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. We recommend that because the Millionaire Real Estate Agent tells us that we should be emailing our database 26 times a year with hyper-local relevant real estate information. That's the bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. Millionaire Real Estate Agent also tells us we should call everyone in our database once every 90 days. That's the quarterly call plan. Now, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent also tells us we should do 36 different touches throughout the year, 26 emails, 4 phone calls. Here's 4 more touches: the birthday smart plan, a birthday card, a birthday call, a social media touch, and a text message all saying happy birthday. John gave you some suggestions like a client event or an item of value that can fill in those last couple of touches. And if you're doing online lead generation, we shared with you 2 great smart plans by the authors Marty Miller and Jason Flynn. Remember, if you download a smart plan that someone else made, you're going to want to edit it. And don't hesitate to leverage that extra action to put somebody onto that biweekly neighborhood nurture to make sure that you've got a touch going out in perpetuity until you get out of real estate, your client passes away, or they file a restraining order, as John said so elegantly. Which leads me to this. What final questions do you guys have about smart plans and automating your business? What can we do to support you best? I see a question that just came through. How do you get your neighbors' contact information? Call them, text them, or knock on their door when that's appropriate, of course. But you just ask. There's a lot of ways to do it. John, you've got a really great tool that has helped you get contact information for people. I think it's fastpeoplesearch.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's pretty frightening, actually, the amount of information that you have that is out there on you, because there's stuff, if you look at mine, there's old email addresses that I've never given out to anybody that are showing up on there as email addresses that I've used. This is a really great way to find, absentee owners, contact information, things like that, because it'll give you a list of phone numbers, it'll give you a list of email addresses. Just make sure that you're staying in compliance with the do not call lists and the contact stuff there. But yeah, that's a really great resource. Another really good resource as well too is that on the text messages, sometimes we want to put links in on the text messages, and those links can be really, really long. So if I wanted to say, for example, send a link to my website that had a specific property on there, that could be a pretty long proposition. So one of the things that I like to do, and I'll share the screen real quick so you can see what that looks like. And it also gives a little bit extra resources to me, is that I'm going to go in here and just say, for example, I go to my website because I want to text out either in a smart plan or just a general text. I'm going to just search for any house that's close to my location here, so that I can show you what I mean by that. So let's just say I wanted to send a link out on this Laurelwood Lane property to somebody. So I go and I click on it. You can see that link is pretty long, and then that's going to eat up a lot of characters on my text message. What I like to do is I like to take these links and copy them, right? And then you can go and utilize a service called Bitly. So it's bit.ly. And then once you do that, you can log into your Bitly account. You can create an account for free. It doesn't cost anything. And you just hit this word create. And so I hit the word create here. And then you paste that link into this spot, right? And then that will create a new link that's shorter. And if I wanted to customize that a little bit more, I could take that back half and I could put something in there like 240 Laurelwood. And then maybe I put the year 2021, right? So now it'll create a link to that site that'll say bit.ly/240 Laurelwood, right? And then I hit save. And then now basically I can use that shorter link rather than that longer one. And I can customize it by putting the address in there so it looks a little bit more professional. And then the really great benefit out of it is now it gives you some tracking stuff. So now I can go into, say, my command, I can create a smart plan. And again, if I wanted to do a text message or even an email, right? So let me just hit edit on this one. So I can do one of two things. I can use that link now. And let's say I wanted to do a text message. So I could say, hey, I want to send a text message. And I want to put that link in there. So now I just put that link in there. I didn't copy it. Give me a second here. So now I can hit copy. Go back to this one. So I'm going to copy that link. And then now I can go back into that smart plan. And then instead of that long code, I just put that one in there. And then same thing if on an email, if I wanted to put an email in, I can say Laurelwood Lane. And then what I would probably do here is highlight that, click the link in here, and then put the target into that spot, right? Now, the reason I want to use a Bitly link rather than, say, for example, using the long one there is that, again, now it just looks prettier. It looks more customized. But what's really important and cool about this is, let me show you one that I've done here, is that this link, for example, that I did, now I can see how many people clicked on it. I can see the days of the week people are clicking on it. I can see what sources people are using to click on it. So I had sent emails out and only 9 people had clicked on the emails. But the Facebook post I did on this, 243 people clicked on the Facebook link. So what does this tell you, Zach? This probably tells you, hey man, Facebook worked a heck of a lot better than my emails did, because I had 243 people click on the Facebook ad or the Facebook thing, and I only had 9 people click on it through the email. So this can really tell you days that people are clicking on it, how many people are clicking on it, where the resources are coming from that are clicking on it, and it will tell you, and that can tell you, hey, I need to do more of this, or I need to do less of this, right? So some really cool stuff that you get with tracking by utilizing Bitly.
Yeah, that would tell me, one, don't put any more energy into emailing out that link because it's just not working, or completely change the way that you're sending it out to make sure to get a better response the next time you use that method.
Yep. And so that's just a quick hack that I like to utilize.
Yuning, a question came through on chat from you about having issues with the ability to view photos on listings that were sent or smart plan emails, either editing or viewing the email sent. If you're experiencing any issue with not seeing photos on whether your agent site or kw.com, I'd highly encourage you to connect with your Market Center tech trainer so that they can document that and we can escalate it to the data team. If it has to do with your emails, that's done inside the email editor in Designs. If you have any issues with that, of course, you can open a support ticket or get with your Market Center tech trainer to make sure that it's being done properly, or that the support team can isolate that and resolve that for you as soon as possible. Any other questions? If not, we're going to give you about 7 minutes of your day back to go take territory and take some listings before the weekend.
And to get some people on SmartPlans.
You know what SmartPlans to use. Your work now is to ultimately add contacts to the SmartPlans. Remember, add them to neighborhoods. We recommend 4 or more neighborhoods, especially for that bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. Get them on the quarterly call plan and the birthday smart plan, do a client event, send an item of value, and now you're well on your way to following the models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and having a massive, massive business. On behalf of John and myself, I can't tell you how honored we are to be in business with every single one of you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you found value here today. We will be posting this recording for Northern California, Hawaii region on our regional mastermind page on Facebook. If you're not a member for Northern California, Hawaii, reach out to your local leadership team. They can make sure to get you that link. And also John will have access to this recording for Maryland, DC to make sure that it gets distributed for you there as well. John, anything else?
I just thank you guys for all coming today and letting us share the afternoon with you. It's always an honor to work with all of you guys.
Make it a great day, guys. Cheers.